So, major update on the alleged ritualist den discovered in Edo State. The last time we talked about it, we made it clear that we did not have all the information, which meant that, of course, the story is bound to change and new details are bound to emerge. So right now, it turns out that there are different stories and different explanations as to what that building was. It was called an abandoned building initially due to the fact that the interior was not very complete. And so we still wanted to know who the owner of the building was and why the mummified bodies were there, and also why the shrines were there. It was said that there were over 2 to 3 shrines in the house and around the compound, and that there were areas in the compound where some of the deceased clothes were burnt. They were also suspecting that some of the deceased were buried around the premises. But the main question that people want to know now is, what is going on in this building? Is this a mortuary or is this a ritualist den? Since the last time the story first broke out, it turned out that the police had spoken to 3 more suspects. This particular guy who told them that that was a morgue and explained to them that the actual owner of the house used to have a mortuary at another part of town in Edo State, but was given a quit notice to vacate the former property. And since he already had people's deceased loved ones in the former building, he felt the need to take them to the new building, which is this particular building. This is supposed to be the new building site for his mortuary. But for some reason, this building happens to be his own personal house. And if you remember, we also saw that there were a picture of the owner of the property and his certificate of being a mortician, as well as pictures with him and a military person. I guess that proves that this building is the person's personal property. And so he was in the middle of relocating from his previous place of business to making his own house the new place of business when this whole scandal burst open. So to answer the question, the building is not a morgue, but is owned by someone who used to run a morgue and had to change property and had to change site and location. Even somebody whose loved one was in the building. A man was interviewed whose mother was part of the deceased people in the building, and he said, yeah, that he actually deposited his mom's remains in the man's care when he was in his previous property. So on going back to the previous property to claim his mother's body, that was when he was told that the previous occupant has moved and they probably gave him the new address. So when he came to this building, that was the same period of time the scandal was blowing up, and I guess he just let the police know that the establishment is actually run by somebody who was a mortician, a certified one at that.
That his mother's corpse is contained in the building in which he believes a mortuary was being run.
November 26th, my mother died, 2021. So we took her to the mortuary at First Secular. Ever since I've not been there. So finally, when I went there, I didn't meet anybody there. And I called, I have their community, and I called them. But I said they are at Ekenwan Road.
Although the building was clearly, not legal, I guess there were no signboards and this was not the designated place for the place of business. And I guess that was what made it hard. So as it stands now, people have been convinced, or some people have been convinced that, okay, fine, the man who owns this building and who is in charge of all of these chaos is actually a certified mortician. So those bodies can be accounted for. They all have tags in them, which meant that their loved ones could come at any time to claim them and take them for burial. Now, what about the shrines that we all saw in the house? There were places with shrines and blood stains, and I guess they said it's animal blood stains, not human blood, because clearly the bodies there would not produce much blood. They've all been embalmed and mummified, so the blood stains are supposedly or believed to be from animals. So what about the shrines? Why is there a shrine in a place where dead people are preserved and kept for burial? Why are there there are about 2 to 3 shrines? So a lot of people are like, okay, if this is not a ritual thing, then why is there a shrine there? So the explanation regarding the shrine, according to what is going around, is that the man himself believes in these things, that this is what he uses to protect himself. I mean, he's working with dead people, so clearly these are his protection. It's not like it's a sacrifice thing or a money ritual thing. It's being said that the owner of the building serves this is what he believes in. I guess he's not a Christian or anything. Maybe this is his method of belief. And to be really fair, it's not like I'm taking his side, but growing up we're told that people who work with in the morgue or in the mortuaries, they have their own charms and or force that help them communicate or undo the dead. Because I mean, when you're working with the dead, you gotta be spiritually powerful like this. And I guess this is the same case with the man who owns the building and has this whole chaos. Another thing to clarify, in the previous video, a lot of people, or some of us, were suggesting that maybe they stole the bodies from a morgue, and people who are familiar with the area in Benin did say that there is a mortuary closer to this building. However, those people who work in that mortuary have spoken out, and they debunked the rumor that they had any connection with this. They said that they don't know these people, that this place is far and the bodies here has nothing to do with the people they work with. And obviously that is true now, because we now know for a fact that the owner of this building actually has his own morgue where he works with the deceased. So clearly we now know that the bodies here are not from the nearby mortuary like some of us speculated. So guys, that is basically all the update for now. The police are still investigating, let's be clear. So we might be getting updates soon. Hopefully something tangible, something new. Maybe they will interview the actual owner of the place, because we've only been seeing, I think they said they caught 3 people. The guy we saw initially, there was a particular one that said that he came there to look for a job, that he was supposed to start a driving job there to transport bodies, and that was the same time they caught him. There were other 7 people who ran away. We don't know anything about them and why they ran. If this was legit, they wouldn't have run away. But I guess maybe they were scared because of the angry mob were the ones who said to have gone there first and beat people up, I guess. And there was a 3rd person, and not much is known about the 3rd person. Maybe that is the person who came to pick up his mom's body, I guess. I'm not particularly sure. However, though, we're waiting for updates and the police to finish their investigation. Although many people have been convinced that it's not a ritualist den, they have agreed to the story that it's a mortician who was kicked out of his previous place of work. Now, my only problem with this is why I feel like something is still off. I don't want to go ahead of myself and say, okay, this is a ritualist den. It's giving, although I agree that the bodies are embalmed and all, but there's something off about this building. I'm not going to lie, there's something that is still telling me that there is something extra being done with these bodies. Because in the room where the bodies are kept, where the bodies are piled up, this is a house. It looks big enough, and it looks like it has more than one room. So let's assume the man was kicked out of his place of business initially, and he's forced to come here. Why is the room where the deceased people are kept having a foam and a pillow and a bed and clothes? Why is somebody sleeping in that same room? They have a sitting room. We saw a sitting room. They have a kitchen. They have another room, and it looks like a 3-bedroom. So why is it that the room where, at least the man should have dedicated one room to these deceased bodies and kept them there and, label it and preserve them there? I don't understand why there is a bed, a foam in the same room as the dead. It's giving me something else. I feel like maybe the man is also using this for extra source of income for those people who are looking for powers or looking for riches. These people can be really weird, honestly. So, because I would not understand why a mattress, a stabilizer, a chair, a pillow in the same room where this embalmed body were kept, whereas there are other rooms in the house where someone could sleep in. So why? That is something I would need an explanation for, because now I understand that yes, we agree the man is a certified mortician. He used to work at a former location where he was given quick notice and was forced to come to his house and use his house as a temporary place of work till he most likely establishes it or find a new place. But he has more than one room. At least one room can be dedicated for the deceased. So why is somebody sharing a room with the deceased? It's giving me extra something. I'm not comfortable, but I'm not going to say what I think so it doesn't look like I'm trying to put out a narrative. But we'll just have to wait for the police to conclude. At the same time, I want you guys to let me know your thoughts, what you think about this new updates. Do you still feel that this is a ritualist den, or are you convinced now that this is just a man who was kicked out of his former place of work and forced to use his own house for a morgue? Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, stay following this page, and let me know what you think in the comments below.